Hi, my name is Ebele, and I've been going to Dominion City for about a year now, and I'm here to share my testimony on how God favored me. I did not have a church home for about 2 years before coming to Dominion City, and I saw Dominion City actually while I was scrolling through Instagram through an ad. My friend Chisom, she came and she loved it, and immediately she texted me saying, "Ebele, you have to come here." And I came and lo and behold, I loved it and I'm still here. And with that, I'm actually in my fourth year of pharmacy school now, going on clinical rotations. And around this time, this is where people are knowing what they want to do after pharmacy school. And residency is usually some pharmacists like to do to increase their clinical acuity. And for me, I wasn't really sure at this point what I wanted to do, but it wasn't until Dominion City Convention in July where I was able to get a breakthrough in what area when Reverend David was ministering to us. And we so happened to have a pharmacy conference here in Atlanta that I was able to go to. And with this pharmacy conference, it's both pharmacy students like myself and pharmacists. In this particular program that I went to, I snuck into a pharmacist-only seminar to listen about diabetes and heart failure. And there was another student that was with me who happens to be a Christian who was talking about ambulatory care or primary care as an area she's interested. We both took a picture with the director, and afterwards I went about my way. And many people were saying that ambulatory care, especially in the VA or Veteran Affairs, is a really, really sought out program and is highly competitive to get into. So in December, I went to Las Vegas for a pharmacist convention, and there I looked at the booth for one of the programs I was interested in, which is the VA Houston, and it had over 20 people every hour that they had the program. And I started to doubt myself applying to the program because I didn't have my letter of intent. I didn't have my letter of recommendations yet, and I was a bit nervous. So we had the Feast of Answers that was in October, and I wrote down that God to point me to the best path of my career, my PGY1 program that's perfect for me in ambulatory care. I specifically want the Michael E. Bakey program in Texas, so I have that here. And I wrote that down, and we prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And I felt like God answered my prayer. So around the time we were submitting applications in December, I now was a bit nervous because everybody was preparing for interviews like 5 months in advance. And I've had about 3 weeks to kind of get my submission, so I'd never really had time to practice for interviews, but I hadn't received any yet until our year of acceleration 21-day fast in the beginning of January. And literally each day I walked into this building, I got an interview offer from each program. Mind you, when pharmacy students apply for residency programs, they apply to maybe 8, 10. I know some that did 15. I only applied to 5. And of the 5, only got 4. I was a bit nervous because the VA Houston was the one that I got, but I wasn't sure if I was ready for the interview. So every time we had an interview, the Holy Spirit will now show me what things to study. He'll tell me to look at diabetes for this, heart failure for this. And I felt that overshadowing of the Holy Spirit when I would go through the interviews. After my interview with VA Houston, I submitted my rankings. I ranked VA Houston as my number 1, and I was hoping to God that that was the program I get. It's super, super competitive, and I felt like God did it. Just how everything's set up. Me coming to Dominion City was a coincidence. They have a branch in Houston, so it only makes sense, right? So I submitted my rankings for the residency programs on the 4th, and we had a time period until the 15th to wait. And the 15th is where everyone knows what program they get into, whether you get into it or not. And during this time, I was praying, but more so declaring. It says that if you decree a thing, it shall be established in Job. So I was getting excited. and a little bit nervous because the enemy was saying, what if you don't get in? Or if you don't go here, you'll be out of state again without a church home. Then lo and behold, on the 15th of March, I didn't even get a chance to open my email to see where I ranked. Houston, VA Houston Medical Center residency director called me while I was on my clinical rotation to say, congratulations, you have matched. And I want to make this a full circle moment because that same program I snuck into in July after Dominion City Convention was where I met this man, and I did not know that he was the program director at that time. And that same man is my residency director. And again, when God does things, he does exceedingly and abundantly more than what we ask for. And that same girl that we snuck into that program that sat next to me, who's a Christian, is actually my co-resident. So to give you a perspective of VA Houston, they only have 5 positions. There were 114 applications to the program, 28 interviews, and I am one of 5 residents, and I'm the only one from Georgia. God is faithful. So I want to thank God for just his favor, his faithfulness. He knew from the beginning, he knew the end from the beginning, and I was just going through the process. So ultimately, I want to thank God. And I also want to thank my pastors, Pastor Steve and Pastor Neka, for agreeing with me, for taking my list, seeing the programs I'm applying to, and constantly giving them updates and then praying for me. I want to thank my mentor, Chima, for agreeing with me in prayer, making sure I'm studying, getting ready for interviews, and constantly keeping tabs with me as well. My friends, my family here at Dominion City, those who knew about the interviews and the process, thank you so much for the support. And honestly, this Feast of Answers is a table you do not want to miss being seated at. Everything that I had on here was answered back then in October, and I'm just eating the fruit of it now. So I really would encourage you, if you were debating on going, or if you're not sure if that thing that you've been praying about or thinking about is going to be answered, I hope this testimony shows you or increases your faith that this is your time. It is the year of acceleration. And just as it says in 1 Kings 18:45-46, when Ahab went ahead before with his chariots to Jezreel, the hand of the Lord came upon Elisha, gathered his loins, and passed Ahab. And that's exactly what happened to me. Someone who wasn't prepared, someone who don't have the connections that all the other pharmacy students have. But the one thing I had was God with me and the Holy Spirit in me. And that was the difference. Thank you so much for listening to my testimony.